All right, cool.
Hi, Drake.
What's up? I think we're still waiting for it to load up.
I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe.
now we're good. Yeah. So, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell the story,
Cool.
and then
You're good at that.
you can add the perspective.
Okay.
Your perspectives from it. Hang on, somebody's calling me.
Excellent.
All right, so um, we're sharing this because we see the value in like sharing it, and it was something that was pretty cool that I was already sharing with other people, and I was like, okay, let's make a video about it, right? But essentially, what happened was, um, okay, from my perspective, I was on the phone, uh, really focused and concentrated on talking with this person because it was potentially going to bring money for us. And he'd sent me a text that was basically like, hey, where do I park? And I ignored it because I was really focused. And then he called, and I ignored that call. And then you kept calling back and back, and then I wasn't really able to focus on the conversation I was having. And then finally, I did speak to you for just a quick second, but then switched back to focusing on what I was focused on. And then we didn't really talk about it. You came in, we didn't really talk about it clearly. Um, you had some like feelings or thoughts about like what I was potentially thinking, and I had some feelings and thoughts about what you might have been potentially thinking, but we didn't talk about it because we had guests over, and we were just kind of like tiptoeing around the subject, I would say. But then we kind of went on with our day, and then later that day, I went, did some work, didn't get done till late, right? You want to add something here?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. Like, there was a conflict because I wanted something. Drake wasn't giving me what I needed at the time, and it was just like a miscommunication
Yeah.
that happened. But we didn't address the situation. But there was like tension that had built up because
There's
of that situation.
Yeah, tension.
Because of that situation, but we didn't address it right away.
Right.
We
yeah. So, yeah, then worked late, was exhausted, went to sleep. We didn't talk about that specifically. After it was just like really exhausted. Next day in the morning, next day in the morning, I was like, okay, we got to bring this friend to the airport. And then I've got to do this, that, that. And so I was just focused on like getting up, getting prepared for the day. And so I was on my laptop pretty early in the morning, and he kind of rolled over like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm getting ready for the day. Like, can you go out there and do that?" Like out of the room. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I went looking for my glasses, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm looking for my glasses." And you're like, and then like you kept asking me what I was doing. And then I was like, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing that. And you're like, you're being annoying. And I was like, okay. And then I walked out of the room, right? And then I went to the bathroom. And when I got out, you called me back into the room, right? And
anyways, I woke up pissed.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it plainly.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was obvious that you're pissed in the morning. And I was like, okay, I don't really get what's going on here. I was like pretty oblivious to it, I would say. But then, what was it?
I don't know. Anyways, it just like escalated really quickly when I
Yeah.
called you back in the room.
Yeah.
We started calling each other not
Names.
so nice names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Drake just like was like, I'm not participating in this, and
That's
just like
right.
walked out of the room, which
Yeah.
like honestly in the moment is so infuriating. But I know why he's doing it.
Yeah.
like in my mind, even though I wanted to like so bad, just like
I recognized that in that moment, like it didn't really make sense, the response that you were giving me. And so I was just like, okay, I'm not going to participate in this. And I walked out of the room, and then I got onto TechnoTutor right away and just started addressing the situation with TechnoTutor. And then I sent you what I was working on. And then, like a few moments later, you sent me back what you were working on. And
yeah, like I had pulled out my techno tutor
yeah,
pretty shortly after. I like calmed down a little bit, and I figured like you were doing the same thing.
yeah,
And then you sent me the list. I was like, okay, cool. And then I kind of like had some stuff that was similar but different points that had come up within me. And then I sent you that and added onto your list, and then we did each other's lists.
yeah,
I'm assuming,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And then
And yeah,
I sent you a text of like, cool, I'm done. Let me know when you're ready to talk.
right.
And then you sent me a text back that was like, I'm ready. And then I came into the room and we talked, and like it was so cool when you sent me back what you were working on. Like I was like, some of the things in there I was like, oh fuck, but at the same time I was relieved because it was like, oh, this is everything that um, that I have to work with here. Like I could feel like, oh, you're not trying to hold anything back. You're not holding anything back in this relationship. You're not holding anything back from telling me like what's on your mind. You're not holding anything back to like use against me later. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. This so then when we spoke, I felt like we were both coming to the table with everything laid out so that we could actually resolve it versus getting into a fight that we were just like gonna hold on to and like keep fighting later on.
Right.
I've seen other couples or like you see in like TV or whatever, like like oh you I wasn't gonna say this, but you really pissed me off, and so then you did this other thing,
like building up fuel and ammo against the other
Right.
person,
right?
versus like actually dealing with the entire problem in
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah. So that was really cool because then we were able to just like talk and really express, hey, this is what's going on. And then we got to basically the root of it of like, oh, this is where it stemmed from. We didn't address this thing that happened early in the morning.
Right.
And then we had to go because of just a time constraint of like going to the airport and everything. But after that, we started talking after we went to the airport. We were talking on the car ride home, and just like, oh, okay, so what was the resolution for the initial thing that started all of this?
Right.
And then we came up with like a really great resolution, like right there in the moment. I was like, oh, okay, let's just do this. We implemented it right away so that the next time something like this comes up, like we have a solution for it that's ready made. We don't even have to think about it, which is really cool. And then the other thing was when we got home, then we just started like with our day, like, okay, making breakfast and talking, and like we had some music on in the background, and it just became like, this is an amazing day. Like it was like the best day. And it's funny because I put into my techno tutor, I have a great day, right? And I was just feeling like, wow, today's so great. And like it wasn't something like I was trying to conjure up. It wasn't something that I was like trying to make myself have a great day. It was just I genuinely felt like, fuck, this is amazing. Like
we're having a good time.
Yeah, we're having a good time. We got good food. We're talking, like having great conversation. We're listening to some awesome music, and then like you'd brought up, it's so great that we could have a day like this.
Literally within like not even 4 hours, like from the moment we like had woken up to then like a few hours, like resolving through techno tutor, kind of going about our day, and then talking about it, finding solutions to like the problems that initially started the whole like fight, basically. And then basically like Drake just like randomly being, this is a great day. And I was like, this is so weird because like it's like classic, when you stub your toe on like your bed and the first thing you get up in the morning, and then that just sets the tone for the whole day. It's like we like that just did not happen at all. At all. Like it's almost like we forgot about what happened in the morning and we just like continued forward. And it was just like a natural organic progression of it. Obviously like we talked and everything like that, but there was no like like we just didn't allow that to like continue because it was resolved in the moment, basically.
Like that's exactly it. Like we resolved the point. We weren't putting a band-aid on it. We weren't like trying to quell each other's fears or anything like that. It was like, what the fuck's going on? Let's stop it, and then let's actually look at it and go, okay, what's the resolution for this? Boom, solved, and then we could continue about our day. The point that I really wanted to bring up was we kind of started our relationship based on doing this process, essentially.
Right.
Actually, we did, so like just the whole point with we both already had Techno-Tutor before we started our relationship. We both agreed to principles. We started our relationship based on principles, and like whenever anything would come up within either of us, we would immediately go, okay, cool, how do we use the tools that we have to actually resolve this? And we already had a process kind of in place.
Right.
And so this has just been like, this isn't the first time that this has happened, is essentially what I'm saying. But it keeps getting better and better and better. And we get to it faster and faster, where it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I look forward to, not necessarily look forward to like getting into a fight, but like whenever we have a challenge, I can see the benefit of it. I can see the value of it afterwards because we resolve so quickly and we grow and we become like better in our relationship with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Not exactly. I think we covered most of it, but just like the power of like using these tools to have the most effective relationship, and especially because from the beginning of like when the conflict kind of started, it all just stems from like a miscommunication somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So the whole reason behind like a huge part of like using Techno-Tutor is really like one of the benefits is increasing your communication ability, right? Because you're just able to process information better.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the direct benefit of this, or like the direct like support of this when we have a conflict or something like that, because he'll send me things that I need to process coming from his perspective, and then I can do the same thing for him from my perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's super cool.
That's a really great point, because I don't know who we were talking to the other day, but I was telling them like I'm retarded. Like when it comes to like knowing what's going on in your mind or whatever, like you gotta spell it out for me, because we think differently. Right?
As male and female, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's really cool you sharing with me like what it is that I need to understand about you, and then I can send the same thing to you, and then we're actually speaking on the same level. Right? We're actually communicating like clearly. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Now I see what you're saying. Okay, I can see why that's important, or you can see what I'm saying. Like, oh, okay, now I see where you're coming from, and we're able to like, instead of thinking that you're doing something on purpose to me, like I don't know, like just
right, like out of spite or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
or building up resent. Like there's so much like this. What we've even noticed, especially with this particular conflict, it was like we got to the root cause of the problem versus like we could have just literally just focused on the problem that happened that morning, but It was like because we were able to like step back, kind of like work through what was all coming up within us, that like when we kind of like took our time, like when Drake said like I'm not participating in this and like took a step back, it was like, okay, what's coming up? So then we were able to like fully like go back to like where everything started versus just being like, oh, you just woke up pissed off this morning, like what was up with that, versus like actually then getting to the, like I said, the root cause of the situation, which actually started like yesterday, right? So, that's also just kind of like, not masking any sort of symptoms, I guess. I don't even know, like,
Yeah.
not like, I guess, superficially looking at the problem. It's like, no, like, how do we completely prevent this from happening again?
I would say another advantage that we have is because we started this way, like, we don't have a lot of that built up, like, resentment toward each other, or a lot of like memories of things not going well, or like
Right.
just really getting into arguments like that.
Right.
So it's really like, just because we started this way, I don't know if easier is the right word, but basically we're able to like stop an argument versus really going into it and like getting into the energy of the argument and like
Right.
letting that absorb us, because we haven't built a relationship on that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And then just building like a really solid foundation, especially like as we continue to grow and like eventually want to have a family. It's like those little types of things like that. It's like we're actually developing ourselves and our relationship to like set a good example for our own kids later on how to like resolve issues, resolve conflict, and all that kind of stuff, versus like having to deal with all this kind of stuff later on when they're already here, which is really cool. So it's like we're just it's like you're just future pacing for like later on. That's how I see it, especially.
Yeah.
Like this is just kind of supporting us for long term versus like dealing with like these consequences now later on when it actually really fucking matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right.
So we'll be well prepared
and way more effective.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, anyways.
So we'll leave it at that, and I guess in the future we might make a video of like how to start a relationship.
Yeah, based on principles and agreements versus like just feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
And this is something that like we want to help support other people with, and how to use how we use TechnoTutor for personally, and also like how effective it is in relationships.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everything just comes back to really like communication and the words that you're using, and well, we have the solution for that basically.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Pretty fucking awesome.
See you guys. Peace.